Hello everyone, Jarivin here. I had a few people ask me to make a video on my build, so thought I'd go ahead and do that. Instead of just sending out the link like most people do, I thought I'd go ahead and just make a video, tell you why I picked what I picked, and basically leave room for suggestions and whatnot in the comments. This build is a glass cannon build with a little bit of survivability. You cannot spam the 2 button like everyone says, especially after the new nerf, alright? Like, if you're watching the video when I do use my 2 button, it's mainly for a gap closer. I'm not sure where everyone's getting the, oh, you spam your 2 button, you get a lot of kills. That's not going to work. For this build, you're going to have to spam your 1 button, alright? You're going to have to move 1 button over. That's where all your damage is going to come from. Your 1 button. You better spam that as much as you can, and the occasional 5. Let's start things off. All right, you're going to want to go with hide in the shadows as your heal. The stealth on it is way too good to pass up. Not to mention the cures of burning, poison, and bleeding, and the regen you get from it. If you can get a potentially 10k crit from that stealth, fight's over immediately. All right, now don't expect a 10k crit in structured PvP, alright? World versus world is different.
Everyone has no health and less toughness. Don't tell anyone I said that.
In structured PvP, most people will be stacking toughness, so your crits are going to go way down. This is a strictly world versus world build, so remember that. I'll come up with a structured PvP build later, and I'll show you that one. But for right now, we're going to continue with this, okay? For your utilities, I go with Singing in the Shadows, okay? When you get slowed, you could basically kind of counter the slow, especially with the traits I would go with. The Singing in the Shadows, though, if you have a ranged opponent, and you're facing multiple people, you can drop the Singing in the Shadows activation, and you'll be able to get blindness on them, which means they're not going to all hit you and kill you at the same time, especially when you're as squishy as you are with this build. Basically being able to catch your opponent is what you're going to want to go with if you go with Singing in the Shadows. Using Heartseeker and Singing in the Shadows, you should be able to stay on your opponent at all times. There's no reason why you shouldn't. Next we go into Signet of Agility. Okay, the main reason I use this isn't really because of the precision, but it's mainly for the haste. Whenever you use haste, you gain quickness, which basically makes you attack like you're on cocaine. Alright? Not to mention it breaks stuns. If you really want to be able to get away or catch your opponent again after using haste, if they somehow get away from you while you're using it, you will want to have Signet of Agility. Alright, this is only an option. I mean, you can also go with your Devour Venom. Okay, that can also help you. But the reason I go with Signet of Agility is mainly because whenever you use haste, it drains all your endurance. So, let's say I use haste right now, okay? There's no endurance. None at all. Use D. Goes back to full. You're able to roll up to your opponent and stay with them. Okay? So, not only does that give you the increased precision until you use it, but as soon as you use haste, mainly your survivability should be over. Like, you should be dead if you're facing multiple people. If you use your Signet of Agility as soon as you use haste, you will have your rolls back. Now, you want to be a little bit conservative after you use Signet if your haste is still up, because you cannot regen that. Next we move to Thieves Guild. This is your elite skill, obviously. You can go with Thieves Guild, you can go with Basilisk Venom, or you can go with Dagger Storm. Personally, I prefer Thieves Guild. Thieves Guild is amazing for fighting multiple people at one time. Alright, this is a great getaway tool and a great deception tool, basically. Most of the time when you use Thieves Guild, you can if you can, get a stealth off and then use Thieves Guild. Because if you're in stealth and use Thieves Guild, the 2 thieves will spawn and then you'll spawn after it. So more than likely, whoever you're facing, multiple people, they'll more than likely get on the thieves. Meaning that'll give you more survivability while you tear away their health. Not to mention they'll be doing a ton of damage to them at the same time. Next we're going to move to traits. So when you start out with traits, you will want to go ahead and put 10 points into Deadly Arts. You're going to want to get Sundering Strikes. Sundering Strikes, with how much you'll be critting, is pretty amazing. However, if you do change up your build a little bit, and you go with a poison build or something whatnot, if you were to change up, let's say Signet of Agility, and you want to go with Spider Venom, I would highly suggest going with either Venomous Strength or Potent Poison. Mainly because if you do go with a Venom build or a Poison build, this will be of less use to you than Venomous Strength or Potent Poison. Next, you're going to want to put another 10 points into Deadly Arts and go with Dagger Training. Now, earlier, had you chosen a slightly different little Venom build that you wanted, instead of the 5% extra dagger damage, you could have went with the Quick Venoms, which gives you Venom skills recharge 20% faster. That would also be a great choice. Now, here is where you have an option of what to do. Either you can go with 30-point Panic Strike, or if you were to go with the Devour Venom earlier, you could go with Residual Venom. Mainly because if you get that one extra strike, the Residual Venom would more than likely last another second, which would be pretty good for that route. However, it's all up to how you built earlier. If you followed this one, I would suggest going with your Panic Strike. And if you went with the Devour Venom or any other kind of Venom, I would probably suggest going with Residual Venom. That is completely up to you though. Next, put 10 points in Critical Strikes and go with either Practiced, Tolerance, or Side Strike. Now, this is another option that you can go with. Either you can go with straight damage, or you can go with a little more survivability. Personally, I go with a little more survivability. In the next 10 points, you can go with Critical Haste, or, again, you can go with Side Strike. Now, I personally go with Side Strike, mainly because Side Strike is always active. The 10% chance is just not worth it to me. There's no telling when you're going to proc it and how often you'll get it. So I go with a more reliable 7% chance to critical hit. Now, here is the tricky part. Adding another 10 points in Critical Strikes for the 100% critical chance while in stealth, which means you will always get that backstab crit. Or Executioner, deal 20% extra damage when targets below 50% health. That is also amazing. However, that is for the straight damage build. If you want to go down here, which is what I normally do, I go with Gain Might whenever you dodge, and dodging removes a cripple and weakness. So this is completely up to you. Okay, this is a little bit more of a survival cannon. This is what you can call it. It's not necessarily glass completely. However, it is still very squishy. But then you have, if you were to put the other 10 points in this, you could go with the a ton of damage build. But you might not necessarily survive multiple enemies at one time. If you were to go into the acrobatics tree, 10 points in acrobatics, first of all, give you 2 seconds of swiftness, which means you will run faster after you evade. which means it's easier to catch up to your targets. Not to mention, whenever you dodge, you gain might, which means you'll be dodging a lot, as much as you can, with this next 5 points in this, which is dodging returns some of the endurance. So you'll be able to get 3 dodges in instead of the normal 2. And then when you have Signet of Agility, you'll dodge 2 more times, and you'll have 5 stacks by that time. Not to mention evading all their attacks at the same time while staying close to them. And then, if you dodge, you remove Cripple and Weakness if you go with the number 7 trait. That's completely up to you. Either 30-point critical strike with a 10-point in acrobatics, which would still give you the might when you dodge. However, you wouldn't be able to get the 3 dodges in, which means you'd only more than likely end up with 2 might at a time. Or you could go with the 20-point acrobatics, 20-point critical strikes, which still gives you that ton of damage that you need with the crit chance, while giving you the survivability and the potential to stay on your target at all times. For this build, you're going to want to stack power, precision, and crit damage on all your gear. For runes, 3 in the ranger. Did I say in the ranger? I meant of the ranger. Nobody wants to be in the ranger. You know what I'm saying? And 3 of the ogre. For these, you could also alternate these out from of the ogre can also be of the scholar, or of the ranger can also be of the eagle. It doesn't matter because you're not getting the last 3. Both of them are the same. I just went with the cheaper ones at the time. So basically what you're aiming for here is the crit damage and the precision of the ranger and of the eagle, and the power and crit damage of the ogre or of the scholar. Basically, you're just wanting to combine the 2. There really isn't much else you can get that could add on to this, except for possibly you could get of the pack if you want the 90 power and 100 precision, and you want to help out any teammates you might be running with that get them the swiftness and whatnot. Or of the thief, which gives you the, I believe it gives, it's either precision and condition damage or power and condition damage. But then it has the 10% extra damage when attacking from behind. That's completely up to you. For your weapon runes, use Superior Sigil of Force. Okay, you could go with Superior Sigil of Accuracy, I believe it is, for the crit. But again, completely up to you. When I switch, I have a 5% extra damage on the main hand pistol, but then I have a Superior Sigil of Hydromancy on the second. If I ever switch to my pistols, it's either when I'm trying to kite someone that is on me hardcore, or I'm trying to get away. So the freeze will root them in place. That will be useful for either one of those scenarios. Yeah, I don't do underwater. So that basically wraps up the build. If I missed anything, if you need a description of something, if you need anything, please ask it in the comments. I would be more than happy to answer it. The link to my build will be down in the description. Please ignore my sounding kind of young voice. I am 18, but I'm 5'3" in real life, so you know, genetics. But anyway, if you have any questions, either hit me up on YouTube, in game, or you can email me at jarpvp@gmail.com. I will post that in the description. Please hit a like, favorite if you like the video or not. Give me some suggestions of what you think, and if you want something else changed, please recommend it. Always happy to learn what else anyone else thinks. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.